Take two, buddy. All right. Can you hear me now? Different mic setting. Did we get audio this time? Anybody? Audio? Anything? Okay. Good. All right. So apparently I suck at audio. First time jitters, I guess. I don't really have a schedule or a topic to talk about. Just kind of a hangout. So thanks, Josh. You should have just texted me and told me how to fix it. Anyway, I didn't really have a list of things to talk about. So I guess whatever you guys want to talk about, we can try to talk about as long as it's reasonably appropriate. Shop talk, anyway. Got all kinds of stuff in front of me. My class 3 truck. I can put my hand under it like Josh does, but you can't see my hand, so. Yeah, the red carbon looks nice. The CNC lathe, that's it's a mess trying to learn that. Details on the class 3. Basically, it's our C1 Pro chassis, CMS and servo winch on the front, both Holmes hobbies. TGH forward motor mount, Holmes Puller 400, F10 portals front and rear, and a Holmes SHV 500 LP for rear steer. Like 13.5-inch wheelbase, and a Creeper T transfer case. We got to finish body mounts on it still, and finish up the body. It's going to be a cliffhanger with a custom interior. Interior's right here. Cage, craft foam, drivers. This is, I think, like 26 or 27 points as it sits here with the scale accessories in it, and it weighs like nothing. So, going on a Lexan body. Anybody get the SCX10 Pro in hand yet? I've got mine in a bunch of pieces already. I put it together and then I took it back apart. It's partially back together, but the one side's missing. Yes, the Mon 14 body definitely needs to see competition. Class 3, Class 2, something like that. I would agree with that. Here's the CX10 Pro chassis rail that's missing off of the rest of the truck over here. I've had a couple of people ask already about what it looks like laid over our chassis, so I have those here if you guys want to see those, as well as some of the other chassis on the market too. And I guess I could show you my 18th scale Capra too. It's over here somewhere if anybody wants to see that. Let's grab I'll grab the 18 scale. So here's my baby Capra, working on that. Would I rather have a high-low or an ATL Pro for C3 with Capra axles? It's a totally different driving truck. I'm running C1 Pro chassis in all three classes this year. I just like the way it's packaged, and I like the belly clearance of it versus any of the other ones. If you look at a high-low and a Pro V2, they're pretty drastically different as far as where the skid goes. So I mean, it kind of depends on the terrain you're wanting to do. Also, you know, if you have big steep breakovers, then having this extra room back here and doing a bent link definitely helps. But the overall height, if you are comparing bumper heights, which you can't really with these chassis because of the way they're set up, but if you're comparing bumper heights, then the Pro V2 is drastically higher. But you compare shock mount holes, it's pretty similar there. So I don't know. I like I ran the Pro V2 in Class 2 last year, but I'm just going to run C1 Pros and everything, and they're all set up the same. They all have the same servos. They all have the same winches, the same motors, the same transfer cases. They're literally carbon copies with slightly different link geometries for tire heights. So that way, if I have an issue with something, I can just pull parts off of whatever and put them on whatever. I need to make some of these hoodies. I need to find a new a new hoodie person, a new shirt person. My last guy was a little slow, so so I guess we can compare some chassis here. So this is the SCX10 Pro, and comparing shock heights is about the most fair way. So if I line up a couple of shock holes here, there's quite a bit of belly height difference in the Pro V2 versus the SCX10 Pro, as well as the C1 Pro. They kind of line up bumpers here, but there's quite a bit of belly difference there. But comparing shock heights really isn't really how I design these chassis. So let's take, for example, I don't know. Let's use the TGH hog chassis. So if you compare motor mount locations, if you put the forward motor mount locations in the same spot, these chassis are fairly similar in belly height. But what you can do with the Pro V2 or the C1 Pro is you can run a shorter shock. So if you drop the shorter shock on it and you lower the belly height to the same height, you drop your motor mount 6 or 7 millimeters compared to the other chassis. So when you're theorizing link geometry, you have to set up link geometry before you can set up center of gravity or anything like that for calculating center of gravity. You kind of guesstimate that the center line of the motor in a 1-to-1, the center line of the crankshaft in a 1-to-1 is the same center line as the transmission and the same center line as the transfer case. That is your center of gravity. So when you're setting up your 4-link, you kind of guesstimate based off of that, and then you can actually calculate center of gravity with a bunch of weights and formulas and whatever. But so if you do the same thing with crawlers, this chassis in particular, this C1 Pro, the center line of the motor, when the suspension's compressed, the center line of the motor is at the top of it's basically in line with the front upper link, and it's also below the center height of the transfer case. So if you think about the transfer case being your center of gravity height-wise, and then you figure your, your balance point or whatever. I think having extra clearance in the height of the belly and keeping the motor as low as you can. Bolt of the bell housing, yeah, same thing. Keeping that ratio, keeping the chassis short, you can lower the overall height of every component. All of the sprung weight, you can lower that down at the same belly height, the same ride height, have the same clearances, but lower the center of gravity overall. Now, again, this is all theory, and it depends on how you drive and what terrain you're on, and link geometry is crazy. What kind of science are we discussing? We're not discussing science. We're discussing theories here. It's all theory. Center of gravity, link geometry, squat, anti-squat, all that stuff changes when you get up on a hill, because now you got tires up in the air, you've got motor up in the air, so all that stuff changes all the time. It's not a drag car, it's not a NASCAR, it's not a mud truck. So when you get this thing all jacked up on the side of a hill, center of gravity you can't even calculate for that. So just kind of build what half-ass works and go with it. Back to chassis comparison. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there. So comparing forward motor mount heights, when I took the forward motor mount out of the SCX10 Pro, and I mounted the skid and the motor mount in a C1 Pro, and the motor mount height on the C1 Pro is much lower in comparison. So if you line up the skid plate holes here, the SCX10 Pro forward motor mount sits up here, and on the C1 Pro it sits down here. So you're like, it's almost 20 millimeters difference in the height of the forward motor mount. So the transmission was actually taller than where the motor mount, where the spur shaft was. So that had the axle, the prop shaft all jacked up. So it's not going to work specifically in this as stock, with the stock shaft, with stock parts. But I think I'm gonna do a class 1 chassis specifically for this SCX10 Pro. That way, people who want to buy the kit and just swap all the factory parts over can just swap them over and be able to run class 1. I think Wyatt did a very good job on designing the SCX10 Pro, but they kind of have to make certain concessions for clearance reasons and make it easy for the masses, where we have the luxury of being able to kind of move shit around and say, hey, no, you're going to have a bent link for this or a bent link for that, where he has to go, no, we got to be able to make this, and this all fit. So hurry up. Want me to kick on the machine right now? Start cutting on the live stream? Can't wait to run my C1 Pro in class 1. Yeah, I can't wait to see it at Crawler Canyon or anywhere really, but definitely I love my C1 Pros, man. I'm running them in all 3 classes, so it took me a while to design that one. So I guess that's why I like it. But yeah. For this one, I took the rear servo wires and they wrap up over top of the rear diff there, and then they're in this wire looming with the link, so they can't get caught on anything really. I don't know if it's going to work, but it seemed like a good way to do it. And then I'll go back to this little mini Capra, but so we're working on a high-low for the mini Capra. Still a couple things left to do. I need to make some spacers and whatnot, but this has all the Team Garage Hack transmission gears and gears in the axles, and it's got the deluxe axle shafts in it in the front, so hopefully I don't break more of those. But I've also broken like 3 rear drive shafts now, so that's not really what I want to do anymore either. Wheelbase on the mini capper is factory. It's just over 9 inches, whatever it was. I didn't change that at all. I didn't want to change it until I knew whether I liked it or not. And to this point, I'm not sure that I'm not sure that I really like it yet. But it's is what it is. I want to run more places, but don't know where to run at. That's the problem around here, man. There really isn't a whole lot of places to run. You can go to local parks or find the river closest to you or whatever, and find some river walks or something that have rocks. But for me personally, here it's 2 hours to Crawler Canyon in Illinois, or it's 2 hours to Grand Rapids, or 2.5 hours to Indianapolis. That's just the way it is around here. We got to drive to find rocks. Sucks, but it's the way it is. I greatly appreciate your support. More importantly, we appreciate your approach to grow the hobby. Thank you. And Chris and I have lengthy conversations on his drives home, or or while I'm here working or whatever. And I think it's healthy. It's healthy. We get along pretty well. We've been to comps together. It's great. I like all those guys over there. Famous last words, seems like it'd work. Yeah. Yeah, Podium Power Sports does need a indoor rock pile. I've got some indoor stuff that came from Crawler Canyon. I've been at this spot for 5 years now, almost 6 years now. And primarily it was motorcycle power sports related stuff. But the last 2 years, Brazen, I've been fortunate enough that Brazen's been busy enough to be basically a full-time job. And with manufacturing parts for other vendors as well, it's gotten to the point now where I don't really wrench on stuff that often anymore. And when I do, it's stuff that I wanted to do. So I probably could allocate some more square footage for that stuff and get some actual rock in here instead of man-made stuff. But we'll see. We'll see. Am I going to Colorado in June? I really want to. Chris said he's got me some spots if I want them, but June is a very busy month for me. My son's birthday, my anniversary, Axial Fest. We're going to Disney for my son's birthday, so it's June's a busy month, and that it's gonna be stretching it if I can convince the wife that I need to go play RC cars the week before we go to Florida, and then when we get home from Florida, I need to go to Axial Fest and play with RC cars. So we'll see. I do want to, though. I do want to. With no nationals being announced, kind of sucks. So we'll see. I refuse to come hang out with Texas. Come hang out in Texas. No, I don't. I don't refuse to hang out in Texas. I just haven't made it that far yet. And when I do make it to Texas, I'm just driving across to go to King of the Hammers. Yeah, Wes, I know I've got a place to crash down there. I need to come down there too. It's for my job. Yeah. I mean, it's a write-off. My wife keeps asking when we get to go to Hawaii, and I keep telling her about the Hawaiian Crawl Fest down there. I was like, honey, I could just, it's a business expense. We could, as long as you want to play with some RC cars on the beach, we can just ride it off, and she's all for it. So I need to figure out when we're going to Hawaii next. I think I can probably talk her into not going to Disney next year again. We've gone. This will be the second year in a row going to Disney, which is my least favorite place to go. But it's for her and my son. So going to Hawaii sounds much nicer to me, though. It's for the baby. Yeah, it could be. I don't have any babies anymore, though. My son will be 7 this year, so he's old enough now that he can enjoy the Disney experience and remember it and whatever. I hope he likes it. Happy wife, happy life. Yeah, It's the Disney vacations are just as much for her as they are for my son. I don't care what she says. They she gets just as excited. No, I did not wear Mickey ears last time. She bought Mickey ears. The closest I got was the Monsters Inc. shirt that she made me wear. I don't remember what it said on it, but she was the Schmootsy Poo or whatever, and I was Mike Wazowski, whatever it said on the front of it. I don't even remember, but that was as close as I got to Disney ears. Thankfully, I got out of that. I wouldn't let you live that down either, Tim. I can't wait for that day, to be honest. I can't wait till the day he decides he wants to beat me at crawling. I You're not going to have to twist my arm very hard to go to Hawaii. It's it's not that I don't want to. It's that I just have to make it work with the schedule. So yeah, February is a busy month too, though, with King of the Hammers. Well, the end of January and early February with King of the Hammers makes it busy around here. So I gotta kind of plan around Ultra 4 racing and whatnot. So, but King of the Hammers didn't really go all that well for us this time as a whole. It's always a good time. It's a lot of work to have a lot of fun, but we had a breakage in qualifying and starting at the back, and then traffic jams, and it's just the way Hammers goes. Yeah, the Disney Oklahoma, that is a event to go to every single year. Um, the terrain at Disney is unlike any other terrain you'll drive, and even if you don't enter the comp, like I've been to Disney, I think 4 years, and I've only ever ran gates 1 year. I signed up every year to run the comps, but I always ended up just going out and having fun and goofing off more than anything else. And then instead of waiting in line and running gates, I guess I didn't really have any ambition to run gates after I got there and saw all of the area to play and all the terrain to play on. But this past year, I did actually run gates, and it was rather fun. I can't wait to go back again and actually run more gates. Visions in June, probably not. Um, Again, because June is just insane. I can't be everywhere at the same time. So I'm gonna go to um, Rush, Kentucky, and I might race the Pennsylvania Ultra 4. And I'll probably go to Crandon. Crandon's on my birthday this year, so I'll probably go to Crandon and watch. I'm not gonna race Crandon. I don't have enough horsepower for that. That's why you volunteer to jump in front of everyone, or you play the other side of the card and you run the courses after everybody else is gone and judge each other, so you can do whatever you want to do. Wonder if they're having it this year. Crawlapalooza? Yeah, that's every year. I don't know how many years they've been doing it now, but it's over a decade. So Crawlapalooza is always happening. And even if it's not happening, it's worth the 11-hour drive to get there to just goof off. So I went to Crawlapalooza for RC crawling, and then 2 weeks later was the Ultra 4 race. So I drove 11 hours down there with Josh Hibner, drove 11 hours back, and then a week and a half later loaded back up and drove back down there for the Ultra 4 race and took my RC cars again and played some more on the rocks because it's that much fun. Battle of the Midwest at Disney. Yeah, I mean, make your own list, and on one of the, if we could get everybody rounded up on Thursday or something and do a little cash comp on Thursday out on the rocks somewhere, find a spot that's not where everybody else is at and just do a small cash comp. That'd be kind of fun. Get 10 or 20 people out there with each class truck. It'd be kind of fun. Crandon needs to be on a list to watch. Crandon, I think Crandon's much better from the grandstands than on course. The dirt's like concrete. So I guess we completely got off topic of the chassis comparisons again. I don't know how many people have ever lined up a C1 Pro with the Pro V2, but really the only differences between the Pro V2 and the C1 Pro is the flat belly skid. The skid is much shorter in length on the C1 Pro, but they're realistically the same height. The same height in the front at the front of the skid, but the Pro V2 has it by 10 degrees at the back, something like that. If you guys want to see these compared to other chassis, let me know. I do have a stack of other things here, but this is the project of the week, doing the SCX10 Pro. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I guess I could grab my Class 1 truck. Yeah, Jesse, that was the Pro V2 and a C1 Pro. Yeah, there's a little notch right behind I don't even know what it's for on the SCX10 Pro, but there is a notch in the chassis there, which it's right behind the front bumper. It doesn't even really I'm not entirely sure why it's there, to be honest. Maybe if you were running axle mounted steering and a specific shock mounting location, it may contact. I don't know. The Pro is G10 material, correct? The Pro designation is just something that we've been using for the last couple of years. The C1 Pro is available in aluminum, carbon, or G10, and so is the ATL Pro V2, and so is the high-low. So CMS drag link. Where I've got the shock mounted where the manual showed it, and with the shock fully compressed, it's 10 millimeters from there. So I don't really know. Maybe if you had the shocks laid back and had the ride height real low or something, it would. I don't know. The SCX10 Pro is aluminum. Performance differences between chassis materials. G10 is going to be much more flexible than carbon is. I mean, if you take a G10 chassis, you can really get some bend to it before it cracks or snaps. And what you can do, I guess I can show you with this little mini capper. So there's no bracing in this chassis at all, and it's going to be kind of hard to show. But even without flexing the suspension, you can flex the chassis. So you can tune flex into the chassis, I guess, if you want to say it like that, to where if you were completely bound up on something, you can loosen the chassis up to where it would, kind of settle in a little further, depending on the weight of the truck, really. But you can make the truck settle in to a bind situation, and it kind of will spring back out a little bit. G10, it's very flexible if you don't brace it at all. Where carbon can flex, but it's not nearly as flexible as G10 is. So it's going to be a much more rigid setup. And then aluminum, same thing with aluminum. If you bend aluminum, it's bent. So, but the aluminum chassis, you can't really tune any flex into. Most people don't tune flex into a chassis, but so like my class 3 truck, I only had, I had this brace here, like 2 holes back in the shock mounting, and the amount of twist in the back of the chassis was way more than I wanted it to be. So just spreading these braces out from each other, there's 2 70mm braces in here. Just spreading those apart stiffened the back half of this chassis drastically. And with only running an 80mm shock in it, you can really get some flex out of the chassis, especially with G10. But as far as other performance differences, it's just flex or rigidity, whatever you want to call it. Take the body off my C1 here. This is my 2023 Class 1 body. It's a carbon fiber Jeep body that was too thin for hard body rules, so I had to hand lay carbon fiber in it to thicken it up, and then I printed a drop bed and wrapped it in my Sorco Rules wrap. It's got a interior cage, custom interior, 2 drivers, a whole 9 yards. Roll bar on the back, and then some scale accessories. This truck is like 64 points. I could lose a couple of points and shave some weight. But looking at this truck compared to my Class 3 truck that I just showed you, same servo winch, same motor, same transfer case, same shocks, just different colors. But again, carbon chassis. The only difference here is this has a mini skid on it, brazen mini skid instead of the pro skid. Team Garage Hack bumpers, F10 portals. Very, very similar to my Class 3 truck, just wheelbase and rear steer really is the difference on the Class 3 versus my Class 1. And tire size. Same speed controls, same everything. What else you guys want to see? Anything? It's going to be a quick night if you guys don't start talking. ETA on carbon ATL Pro V2s. I have enough carbon over there to cut one right now. I also have 5 more sheets of carbon coming on Wednesday or Thursday. So Jake, just message me and I'll get you set up. It's my setup. I'll be doing in Class 1, just different body. Yep. Show me the different chassis layer over the Pro. Which different chassis over the SCX10 Pro, Chris? Oh, other one machine behind you. This is my Class 2 truck. Sorry about the squeaky chair. So again, carbon fiber Mojave body, carbon interior, carbon drop bed. I don't care to cover the drop bed or cover the shock towers because I don't need the points for the drop bed. But this body weighs nothing. Custom interior, 2 drivers, a couple scale points inside there, a couple points in the bed. And then again, Holmes Hobbies servo, Holmes Hobbies winch, Holmes Hobbies motor and ESC, Team Garage Hack transfer case and forward motor mount, TGH bumper brackets on the rear with a custom tube instead of a solid rod. Again, very similar build. This has a, I don't know if I can show that front axle or not. I guess Chris can tell me or not, but Vanquish rear axle and an aluminum front. I let a few people drive this at Crawlapalooza, and everybody who drove it was pretty happy with it. I was very happy with the performance of it. I shit the bed on the first course. I should have watched a couple of decent drivers drive the course first. I probably wouldn't have timed out. But I timed out at gate 10 on that course, and then I had a perfect run the next course and a perfect run with 1 gate on the following course. So had a DNF and then basically 2 perfect scores. So is what it is. But everybody else that drove it seems to like it. Same as you sent me in a text. Okay, Chris, do you want me to line up shock mounts, or do you want me to line up skid heights, or do you want me to line up motor mounts? Or do you want me to line up? Yes, best driver figures ever, absolutely. Dealer's choice. Okay. Well, if it's dealer's choice, I'm going to go with what makes mine look the best, and then we'll talk about why it makes it look the best. How about that? So I'm going to grab a driver here, and I'm going to line up as best I can front shock mount holes in these chassis with the skids as similar in front to back placement as I can. And then we'll just have to compare on rear bumper heights. This is difficult. Okay. Let's support the theory. Yeah, well, again, we'll talk about the theory afterwards. So if you line up the upper shock mount holes, there's quite a bit of difference between the SCX10 Pro in the back here, then a G-Speed V4, then a TGH Hog, and then the ATL Pro V2. So, Chris, what shocks do you typically recommend people use, and what length, rather? And then we can discuss some theory here. So if you look at these objectively, like you're using the exact same components for all of the builds, the belly clearance of the Pro V2 is drastically higher than the rest of them, but that would also raise your transmission or transfer case. So in a transmission mounted motor setup, where like a 2.0 or an axial 3 gear or whatever, that would change your center of gravity much more than like a transfer case, like a Creeper T setup, where the motor is not dictated, the motor height is not dictated by the belly height. So if you're doing a setup like that, using the same length shocks, the same axles, same everything, the Pro V2 would have a slightly higher center of gravity based off of the motor placement on the transmission. But we've got like 6 or 7 millimeters of height difference between the Pro V2 and, say, the G-Speed V4. So what that would allow you to do is run a shorter shock, lower the chassis, and have the forward motor mount be even that much lower. So all of these chassis right now The forward motor mounts are all very similar in location. They're a little bit different forward to back. So it's really, you can't really see through them, but they are very similar in height and location currently with this shock mount hole picked. And they're all, virtually the same, front skid mount hole lined up. So that kind of gives you the best view of it. But again, that's running. If you had an operating truck and you remove the chassis and put a chassis on it with no other changes to components. But these all are designed around different components, so you can't really compare them like that. That's not how it works. Kind of got to go by the suggested setup from whoever designed it. 814 RC crawlers. Hey, buddy, how's it going? If we really want to throw a loop in there, we can put the high-low in there. Try to get a shock mount hole lined up. This is difficult. Doing straight chassis swaps doesn't necessarily do them justice, though, Tim. It can, but not necessarily. So the high-low, the thing you got to think about with the high-low, everybody sees this low point here and they're like, oh man, that hangs way down. You got to remember the front tire is right here. So when you have a 4.75 inch tire, I don't have any around me here. I guess I use this gigantic Hyrax, but when you've got a tire right here, you can't get you can't hit that point. So then you have all this extra room back here for bent links and whatever for breakover angle and higher clearance. Portal or straight axle? Class 1 portals every time. Class 2, I prefer straight axles on my trucks. Class 3, I haven't decided yet. I'm going to wait till my Hyrax LPs show up and drive the truck and decide if I want to put straight axles on it or not. I've got portals on it now in Class 3, but that could change. I may just order a set of F10 straight axles. That way I have them here and can just swap them out and keep testing. I want to build a high-low soon. You should. Everybody should. I don't know why I don't have one built for comp. I've built a handful of them for myself, and I've driven a handful of them for myself, and then somebody always wants them more than I do, and I end up selling whole trucks where I should have kept it. And I've built, like I said, a couple of them, probably 3 of them, full ready to run trucks, and then somebody decides they wanted it more than me. It's hard to turn down selling a whole truck sometimes. It'd be awful hard to build the whole truck with one rail, wouldn't it? I do have, like I was just telling Tim or Jesse, I've got some material over there, and I've got more coming. Should be here, I think, Thursday. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. It might be Wednesday, but I'm pretty sure Thursday. We'll see if UPS does their job. They've been slacking pretty hard lately. So again, for those of you that didn't see it, this is the Class 3 interior. Anybody who doesn't have skeleton drivers in their truck is messing up this year. You gotta do custom interiors with custom cages and drivers that don't weigh a damn thing. Then you don't even need drop beds, and you don't need sliders, and you don't need roof racks because 2 drivers is worth all of that headache, and they weigh way less. Where could one get a CF body? Both of these are made by a local guy to me. DM me on Facebook and I'll get you his information. But I know Corrupt was doing them for a while, ordering them from overseas. But I think I seen a post the other day that he said that the guy that was making them for him is taking a break from it. So we'll see. Skeletons are where it's at. They don't weigh anything, and they're crazy points. 8 points for 2 skeletons? Come on. I mean, I'm not mad about it, but we used to have wrestlers that weighed 6 times what these weigh each. And now with all the 3D printed lightweight scale accessories too, those don't weigh anything either. C1 Pro kits ETA. C1 Pro kits, we're waiting on dual servo mounts. Those I'll have to check on the date that those are supposed to ship. We don't make those in house, so we're kind of at the mercy of their timelines. So I think they're supposed to ship on the 21st or 22nd, so that'd be Wednesday or Thursday. So we should have those early next week. And I am making Pro Skids right now also, so we're waiting on those too. But I should have Pro Skids back on the site tomorrow afternoon, depending on how much I get done tomorrow. I've got a batch of skids for another vendor I'm working on too, so if I get those done early enough tomorrow and have enough time to finish the other Pro Skids, those will be on there also. Yep, I'm waiting on everything. So being gone for King of the Hammers, I didn't stop the website orders at all. Hindsight, I maybe should have, because you guys were relentless, which is great. But I was gone for 6 days, and that meant that I was behind 6 days when I got back. So you guys killed my inventory while I was gone, and now I'm behind. That's what it is. I'm only one man with 3 machines. I only have so much time during the day. So that's what it is. Yeah, so we've got a bunch of dual servo mounts and a bunch of body mount sliders and all that stuff coming. Most important thing you would recommend when looking at different chassis. You have to plan your build out ahead of time, and you have to choose what you think is going to fit your build the best. You have to think about your driving style. You have to think about the build itself. The atmosphere around the chassis itself also makes a big difference too. The way the manufacturer supports it makes a huge difference. Wesley and I have been doing this since 2013. There hasn't been a single time ever where if something happened to a chassis that we haven't just sent a new one. Breakages happen, bends happen, is what it is. So we just send another one. I'd much rather send a new one than have to deal with somebody being upset, because shit does happen. So, but you got to kind of plan the build out and decide what you think is going to fit the best for you. TGH wants to chime in about getting a spur locker. Need one of them too. Yeah, Chris can probably tell you that. I may have one kicking around here next to one. I think it's on the bench over there, but I can't really tell from right here where I'm at. You guys sent me 2 for the bent ceiling. Yep. I mean, it is what it is, right? That's the best way to handle it, is just go, "Oh, my bad. Here." You know, we like hearing the stories too. Sometimes, a lot of times, I'm more curious how it happened than that it happened. I want to know how, because I haven't I mean, I drive my trucks reasonably hard, and I've never bent or broken a chassis, but I also build pretty lightweight trucks too. Usually, when they bend or break, they're a little heavy. What's up, Lucas? I'm sure you can't stay on very long. You probably got homework to do, huh? Job security. Yeah, it is job security. It's again, I'm not complaining about being behind. It's great. I love it. Again, I'm super grateful that this is what I get to do most of the time. Well, there's days that I have to work, like actually work, but I, for the most part, get to make tiny truck parts all day long. What weight do I aim for? My trucks usually land in the 5 to 5.5 pound range. I typically don't run any brass per se, like weighted brass. Like all my roll cages and stuff are all brass tubing, but it's like super thin wall, doesn't weigh anything brass tubing. Um, if I add any weight to the trucks, it's usually a brass rotor or an aluminum rotor, or I'll have like brass rotors in the front and aluminum in the rear, or vice versa, depending on weight placement. Like my high lows, I normally end up with a brass rotor in the rear and an aluminum in the front, just because of weight bias, because the high low is so far forward. Thoughts on the Pro axles? The plastics seem fine. Um, the steel tubes, the axles have steel tubes in them, or they are steel tubes. So that's kind of nice. They're a little heavy, but they seem like they're going to be durable. Um, I haven't driven it yet. Again, I put it together over the weekend and then tore it back apart this morning. So I'll put it back together tomorrow and probably put some electronics in it and drive it. Um, drive it for a little while tomorrow. The weather's supposed to be decent tomorrow, so I'll probably take it down to the river walk. There's some decent rocks down by the river, and I'll run it out on the rocks for a little while, and get a decent feel for it, and then start changing stuff. Ordered 8 of them, and they still haven't shipped. Well, hopefully you got in on the first order. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting until April, is what the back order date says. So I got lucky enough. When I was at King of the Hammers, the owner of the local hobby shop, Pilot Ryan Media, messaged me and asked if I wanted one, and I had initially told him, "Hang on, let me go look at it. I'm sure it's going to be out here." And I didn't really get back with him on it that day, so then I messaged him on Friday. I had seen somebody post up that they had gotten one, so I messaged him on Friday and I asked him if he had got theirs yet, and he said they were out for delivery. So I don't know how many he ordered, but um, I was able to get one. Whether it was his or whether it was one for the shop, it doesn't. If it was his, I apologize, Ryan, that I took your truck. But if it was a shop one, I don't feel bad for you. But yeah, hopefully you guys get yours soon, because I think they're going to be pretty popular over there. They seem like a nice truck. I don't remember if you guys are doing any type of a box stock class other than the rental elements. I'm talking about Crawler Canyon RC Park in Illinois. They've got a rental program with element trucks. They're all identical trucks, and that's kind of cool. Instead of having like a box stock class where everybody half-ass cheats, you get a truck that's owned by the park, and you turn it back in at the end of the day. So that's kind of cool. Kind of nice that people can't cheat their way through a box stock class that way. Lucas, what's up with the paint class that your dad's doing? That look like he bought all kinds of stuff for the shop to do paint classes. That's pretty cool. Is there still spots available for that or not? I have 3 of them sold already. It has been a busy year for RC. My wallet hurts from buying all these new RTRs just to tear them apart. It's fun buying them all, but like I bought a brand new UTB 18 and immediately tore it apart and put $600 into a $300 truck. And I bought a $440 SCX10 Pro just to tear it right back apart. Cool. Oh well, it's part of the game, right? It's a write-off. Will I print a custom wrap? Absolutely, Jesse. So some people may not know, but I got tired of people screwing up my sticker sheets for me. Over the past 5 or 6 years, we've been through 7 or 8 different graphic companies printing our sticker sheets for us, and every single time we've switched to somebody else, they managed to screw it up in a different way. So I got tired of spending thousands of dollars on screwed up stickers, so I decided to spend thousands of dollars on a vinyl printer cutter and screw them up myself. So yeah, I'll print a custom wrap if you have an idea of what you want to do or you have a design. It's as reasonably as easy as loading it and clicking print. But if I have to design the wrap, that's a whole different thing. But Lucas, yeah, we provide everything for everyone to paint, offer kits to buy. We'll provide everything to use in the class and buy everything we'll be using. Cool. And did you screw up some stickers for me? Yeah. I just, man, I bought this machine and like the machines are picky. The machines are finicky and you can't leave them sit. If you leave them sit for more than like a week without using them, they're all gummed up or something else stupid happens. And the programs to run them are expensive, but they work really well and they're really not difficult to use. It's just you have to continually use them. Like twice a week, I'll just go over there and click test print, and it prints these little couple lines just to keep them from drying up, basically. I'll be in contact for sure. Cool. Yeah, let me know. Should have TRD wrap made. Basically, that's what those gigantic ass stickers I sent him could be. You just wrap the whole truck in one sticker. Run my Axial Pro on 6S and break everything. To be honest with you, I'm not sure what you would break on 6S. Maybe the axle gears because they're normal AR44 type gears, but the transmission seems reasonably stout, and the drive shafts, I don't, they're WB8s or whatever they're called. They're pretty strong too. I run 4S on everything, and I run pretty spicy motors, so I don't think I'm gonna have a problem with it. Yeah. So, yeah, the sticker sheets. Pause. I'm back. Sorry. So, the new package header cards, the top of the packaging, is actually a sticker sheet now. So all of these, good grief, all of these are individually cut. Even the truck is a sticker. So these will be folded over on the top of the packaging. So all of these are all individual stickers. So don't rip your packaging and don't throw them away. These are the old sticker sheets. And like, it's hard to tell on camera, but like some of them are kind of fuzzy. And like the last guy that I just spent like $1,500 on sticker sheets, this round one isn't cut out on any of them, but he made sure to cut out the proudly made in the USA. Like, come on, man. And then he brings them to me on the roll. Like he didn't perforate these. So like I had to sit there with scissors and a paper cutter and cut sticker sheets out of a roll. That was really rather annoying. Sounds like a challenge. Yeah. Yeah, just do what Harley does. He is better at wrecking them than than like actually breaking them. He breaks them because he wrecks them. I watch TRD all the time. Yeah, me too. I'll check in on Thursday. I figured somebody had to do a Monday night thing because nobody does Monday stuff. Harley has his scale news update on Tuesday, and then the live stream takeover on Wednesday, and Matt's got what's on the bench on Thursday, and Josh has live streams on Friday as well as TRD on Thursday. So I figured somebody needed to do something on a Monday, and if these suck, then it's probably just because I suck. But yeah, don't throw away your sticker sheets. I've already had a couple people message me, "Oh, I didn't get a sticker sheet with my order." Yeah, you did. It's on top of the package. Should be a fun trail trip. Yeah, exactly. I have a couple of trail trucks now. I've got the base camp and my 1.9 Wraith, but I'm going to use the SCX10 Pro probably at Axial Fest if I still have it by then. But yeah, another trail truck that's a capable trail truck. I think my days of getting my comp trucks passed through tech at Axial Fest are probably coming to an end. They don't like that I don't have a single axial part left on them anymore. I don't know how I got through last year with my one truck didn't have a single axial part on it or axial based part, and the other truck only had axle shafts that were axial. So, but either they weren't paying attention or they didn't care. But I think that's probably going to come to an end. If anybody gets to go to Axial Fest Badlands, it's a good time. Might use it for the TTC, but my Tozuki proves itself every time. Yeah, I need to finish putting this back together again. I've got projects everywhere. So much stuff within arm's reach around here, it's insane. This table that the computer and camera is sitting on is like 6x10 in the middle of the floor. It's like a 3/4 inch thick steel top table. Making any wheels soon. Oh, funny you should ask, because again, everything's within arm's reach. Yeah, I've got a whole mess of aluminum bar stock to make wheels. I was running some parts for a local company in the lathe the last couple weeks that slowed me down on wheels a little bit, but got to keep the lights on somehow. Running comp trucks in the creek, having to clean them. Well, as long as it's clean water or reasonably clean water, I'm not afraid to get mine a little wet, but I also run waterproofed electronics and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know who was driving the Traxxas. Yeah. Yep, I've got aluminum and I've got a 6-foot bar of brass, which is not cheap to make some of the wheel components out of brass. Like a 6-foot stick of 2 1/4 inch brass is like $1,300 or something stupid like that. Pretty wild. Yeah, you don't need to be waterproof with 6S. You just skim right over everything. Paddle tires and 6S. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you only order 6 foot of it instead of ordering 200 feet or whatever. No metals are cheap. Aluminum's not that bad around here. I'm like 20 minutes from a pretty big metal supplier. So aluminum's not that expensive, but brass is very expensive. I don't like placing orders with brass. Steel's not very cheap either. Right around here right now. One of the parts I was making for this other company, it's excavator bushings and pins. So it's like 3.5 inch solid steel rod, and it is salty. Yeah, like 3.5 inch 1018 cold rolled or something like that. It's dumb. Order over 1,000 each time. Yeah, if you're ordering big bulk quantities, it's not as bad, but 3 foot of copper bar stock. Good grief. I have to mortgage my house for that. In garage hack. Hey, that's a great idea. What is making stuff out of brass? I don't personally like brass. I don't. I just kind of touched on that. I don't usually run brass on my trucks, but hey, other people do. So here's what it is. I'm not sure why they decided to go with this ugly ass design, but this thing's kind of ugly, isn't it? Kind of ugly. It kind of reminds me of like a G Speed V2 in the front. Like he had that like cut out hole in the front of the shock tube. It kind of looks like a, I don't know. Don't do a Harley designs, otherwise your wife will divorce you. Not sure what. I mean, my wife probably would divorce me for, I don't know, half the shit I do. But yo, I don't even want to know what it would cost to ship that copper bar. No way. That's yeah. What does that weigh? Do you have any idea what 3.5 inch copper bar weighs? Or 3 foot of copper bar stock, 3 inch. Jesus, that'd be heavy. So this machine behind me, the lathe, for making, I use it to make wheels, obviously. See all those books up there? That's how to run it. And when I bought this machine, I had never ran it before. I'd never ran any CNC lathe before. I'd never been around them, never bought tools for them, never set one up. That's a lot of reading up there. It took a long time to get this thing figured out and sorted to where I can just click go. To the far end of me over here is a bar feeder also. So basically I load 3 to 6 foot bars of material into this bar feeder over here, and then kind of essentially tell it how many parts to make. It's not exactly how it works, but and then they all come out in this little parts bin directly below me here. I think they care that you support Axial products by way of aftermarket products. Well, I hope so. I've been supporting Axial for, I don't know, I think I bought my first Axial truck in, when did the AX10 Scorpion come out? 04, 06, something like that, 04, whatever it was. I've been making parts for them ever since. So looks like a Punks 3D. You know what? It kind of does look like a Punks Customs chassis. Now that you said that, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to their stuff. I probably should pay a little bit more attention to their stuff. Yeah, you know what? I can see that now. You know what I wish? I wish that aftermarket companies would pay attention to what they're naming their shit and not name their shit after somebody else's shit. Be great. Wheel designs have always been A plus. I can't take 100% credit for the wheel designs. So um, back when Chris Metzger owned DCW crawlers, he did a lot of the wheel designs back then for the, your traditional double beadlock style wheels. And when I bought DCW from him in 2015, I did have to go back through and redraw a lot of the stuff just because the programs that he was using and the programs I was using just didn't jive with a lot of it. But I was able to kind of dumb down his drawings to a 2D drawing and then rescale them and do a bunch of jacking around to get them to be what I needed them to be. But obviously, I've redesigned or have designed a few new wheels total, but most of them are based off of what Chris was making from like 2010 to 2015, and then I took it over in 2015 and just kind of kept rolling with it. It's not something that I intended on or ever wanted to be doing full time as the wheel stuff, because it's just not what my heart wasn't in that. But yeah, perhaps I'm not deep at most. It's not a damn submarine. Yeah, yeah, maybe a little deeper than the axle nut. I don't. Maybe skid height as far as water. I don't like the spur gear spinning water up underneath it, but other than that, it should be fine. Definitely want a set of wheels. So I guess I can grab a wheel real quick. Okay. So the backside of our wheels are just open. The face of the wheel is integrated into the beadlock ring, for those who don't know this. So what this allowed us to do is, like, this piece here in the computer, basically I can just change the depth of this if I wanted to make this wheel wider or narrower. And what that also allows us to do is I can just make a butt ton of these in the lathe and have a bunch of these stacked up. So when these come out of the lathe, they are 100% finished product, chamfered on the backside, drilled, tapped, whole 9 yards. So these come out of the machine complete. Same with the beadlock ring. So beadlock ring is, undercut here, slides over, and clamps here. Then the faces of the wheels come off of the lathe like this, just a solid disc, drilled and chamfered and everything here, just like this. And then they go in the mill in a fixture, and I can do, whatever face pattern I want to cut into them. I've got the same fixture setup is the same across all wheel design patterns. So basically all I have to do is set my 0 location and load whatever file I want to cut as far as wheel faces go at that particular time. And it does 12 wheel faces at a time from this to this when they come out of the lathe. Now this lathe can do the face patterns and stuff, but it's just much less efficient than doing them in the mill, just because of the way, lathes are meant to make round parts or hexagon parts. They're not made to do all these little detail things. And so like the tools, the RPM of the tool is much lower. It's only 2,000 RPMs on the live tool here, and I've got 10,000 RPM in the mill. So I can cut a lot faster in the mill as far as the face pattern goes. But these are all made in-house from US made 6061 aluminum. So these are all M2.5 drilled and tapped, which is nice. Hardware is included there. But I need to finish up my file for the hubs. I don't want to get a cease and desist from a certain company. So, or actually any company. I don't care to get a cease and desist from anybody. So I'm just working through designing hubs that are different than everybody else's, so I don't have to deal with that mess. thought this wheel design with the bolt-on faces instead of a bolt-on ring was different enough that and we do run things by each other on the private side of manufacturing and vending to make sure that I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. So luckily, I have a pretty good relationship with Team Garage Hack and max offset of the live tooling, enough for gear fly cutters. I don't know. I was looking into that the other day, Chris, and actually I found a gear hobbing machine about an hour from me that was a reasonable price, but I don't know enough about it to pull the trigger on it yet, and it looked pretty messy. So the machine looked like it was dirty. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you were trying to sell a machine, you could have at least wiped some of the grime off of it. So I didn't go look at it in person, but making gears would be helpful for both of us probably. Saw a set of your previous ones and they look amazing. Wheels, or like a set of the Delrin wheels, or a set of aluminum ones. Either way, thank you. Delrin, I like machining Delrin. It's you get, you can really just get after it. It's kind of fun seeing big old chunks of Delrin fly off the tool. Kind of cool. Wheels, aluminum, yeah. So the nice thing, the other cool thing is like it's probably hard to show on camera, but like this is as machined. Like this comes off the lathe just super shiny. This is I haven't polished this or touched this with any Windex or anything. You just saw me wipe it on my hoodie sleeve. So nice surface finishes make everything. This is straight off the machine. Nice and shiny. I like it. And the bombs, the faces on the bombs, you absolutely will not be able to see it on here, but there's tiny, tiny little chamfers around all the bombs and all of the faces on the Mammoth. They're all teeny tiny chamfers, it's like a 16th inch chamfer mill that does the chamfers on those. It's kind of cool. I've only broke one of the chamfer mills, which is kind of surprising because I'm self-taught. So I broke plenty of drill bits, and I broke a couple end mills. Ooh. This was wheel attempt number 1. That's a 3/8 inch 3-flute carbide end mill crammed down into a block of aluminum. Rookie move. But I keep that right next to the mill, next to a sticky note that says "No dumbing here, no dumb area." So it happens. I don't have it next to me, but I also burned up a 1 5/8 drill the other day. That was pretty cool. Throwing sparks off of it was pretty sweet. When you miss a decimal point, when you're typing shit in over there, instead of using the computer to do it, and you miss a decimal point, bad news bears. It is a good reminder. I see it every day. I cannot get this out of here. I clamp this in a vise and grab this with a pair of vice grips. Can't get it out. I don't know. It's held in there by it's like Thor's hammer. I can't get it out of there. Luckily, carbide end mills aren't that expensive. Probably like a $30 oops. And it didn't damage anything else, thankfully. So it wasn't that bad. Swedish wrench pliers. Dude, I'm telling you, that thing is in there. It doesn't even budge. It doesn't even like. There's a lot of times where like if you're trying to get a broken tap out of something, you can get the tap to wiggle a little bit. It doesn't even wiggle. You pull it out of the vise before you do anything else. Can't be stuck into liquid. Yeah, I could just burn the aluminum away from it, but it's probably a non-usable tool anyway. So I'll just keep it around as a paperweight and a dumbass reminder. But, yep, good learning experience. What else you guys want to see? Anything? 9:25. Probably got another 20 minutes, half hour here. Ooh, I know what you guys want to see. There's a high-low, right? And this is a GK01 chassis. Supposedly, we copied this when we made the high-low. Tell me, is that a copy? I don't think so. What mill do I have? I have a Tormach 770M right now. I will probably be replacing that this summer. Not because I want to or not because I need to, but because I need a bigger work envelope. I've had that machine for 3.5 years now, and I haven't had a single failure out of it that wasn't caused by me, broken tools or whatever. So great mill for the price. Showed up quickly. It was easy to assemble. It was easy to zero. The PathPilot software is easy to understand, and post processors in Fusion work great. I haven't had a single post processor issue with that. This took me a very long time to modify post processors for because I'd never done it before. But now I've got this just about figured out. I don't have to edit code very often anymore. If I close my eyes, it is. Yeah, I mean, if you close your eyes, they're as much of a copy as they can be to be 100% different. Like, I don't believe that there's a single hole that actually lines up on these chassis. That's what it is. I think I've got an old G-Speed V2 around here somewhere. And what's humorous about this is like this chassis lines up the best with a G-Speed V2, which is like 8 years old, 7 years old. So making gears would be helpful for TGH. Help for your pocketbook. Start making gearboxes. I'm going to name the next chassis Colorado High-Low. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. No, like I said, we talked about the cost of a gear hobber for my machine, and it just doesn't make sense to spend that much money on a bolt-on tool that to prototype parts or even to do production runs. It would take a very long time to make that make sense. But the price of the gear hobber that I found was about a third of the price of a gear hobber for this lathe. So I don't know. I might go look at it, but I don't know. It looked used. It's it's definitely a used machine, but it looked beat. So I don't want to buy a headache either. You know, buying stuff that makes money. My grandpa always told me a running machine is a money machine, and non-running machines are headaches and money suckers. So vastly different concepts. Yep. Wesley's in the chat, guys. So you see Brazen Scale RC in the chat. That's Wesley. Thanks for coming in, dude. Let me know if I'm saying too much. What else do you guys want to see? Anything? We can talk about tools. There's a whole lot of tools in there. Ooh, forgot that truck was up there. That could have been bad. About to fall off of there too. Whoops. It wouldn't go very far. Do you chamfer carbon? What bits do you use? So the carbon that we use is a pretty dense carbon. It's pretty difficult to machine. So there can be and will be some, depending on how hard the sheet of material is, because there is some variance in it. But there can be some blowout on the back. I typically just use a 3-flute carbide chamfer in a drill press at a very high speed. Just put the belt on high and let her eat. Then I just hold the chassis by hand and just kind of, I don't use the handle on the drill press. I just hold the chassis by hand and chamfer the holes like that if I have to. Like this one's pretty nice. There's no blowout on this one at all, but it can. You don't usually have to though. Yeah, there's no blowout on that one. Trying to think of what I want to see, but I'm nosy. I think I've seen most of your stuff. Yeah. Ever try a double cut diamond bit for chamfering or for cutting the actual chassis? I typically use diamond bits, fishtail tip diamond bits for cutting the carbon. Leslie's test fitting prototype parts tonight. I don't even know what you're prototyping. Okay. Oh, I do know what you're doing. Never mind. Sorry. Strike that. Something to piss Josh off is what you're messing with. I guarantee it. For chamfer deburr and countersink. No, I haven't. If you feel like sending me a link, go ahead. It's worth a try. And the less hand cleanup I have to do, the better. This chassis is sitting here because it's a blemish. I got a little there when I cut the chassis. I leave 4 tabs. There's one on the bottom here. There's one in the center of the skid. There's one on the bottom back here, and then there's usually one either on the top or bottom back here. But when I was cutting this one out of the sheet, getting the tab off of it, I nicked it, which sucks. Working second shift, I guess. That's first shift. No, this is second shift, I guess. I worked all day and then I went home for dinner and hung out with the kiddo for a bit and then came back to the shop. Leslie's always up to something. Yeah, but he's usually up to no good. He likes fiddling with the leaf spring stuff. All the leaf spring madness is all Wesley. I've only got one leafer, and it's at Metal Masher right now, getting the cage done. I'm having him build the cage this time. That's why we have so many trucks. It is why we have so many trucks. I don't even know. Don't go there. You don't have to justify your designs. waste of energy to qualify actions. I have to jump off. Look at the media sent text. All right. Have a good evening, y'all. Chris. Yeah, I'll check my messages. Because he's about to build another. He just hasn't gotten a package yet. You out of here too, Squints? I've got it's over there on the shelf. The truck with your axles and motor mount. Talking about leaf springs a few days ago. Yeah, so I've got a patinaed leaf spring set that, like I said, I sent it off to Metal Masher. I had a brand new Metal Masher body sitting here for a couple years now, sitting in a box that I finally decided that it was time to have built. And I just decided I wanted him to do the cage and bumper work for me this time, because that way it's all done by the same guy, right? Who better to mount the body than the guy who made the body? So I know he was working on Ryan from RC Addict, his truck, to get it done for USTE, and then I think he's got mine and one or two others that he needs to finish up. But it should be really cool when it's done. I'll probably end up just wrapping it. I want to do like a patinaed wrap or something, or see if I can con Skill Builders Guild into painting and weathering it for me. I'll build a wood crate and ship it up to Canada, or I'll take it to the border and float it across the lake or something. Put it on an RC boat and put it on the back of an X-Max and skip it across like Lucas would do. It's got a C10. Yes, I saw your C10 Metal Masher. I'm jealous. I haven't had a C10 yet. I want a Suburban and I want a C10 for no other reason than I'm a hoarder. I've got three Toyotas and two Broncos, but I need a C10. The big balloon. No. I saw all the memes of the Goodyear blimp being the most dangerous job in the U.S. right now. Yeah. Takes too much time. I turned it down from 60 seconds to 30 seconds. You want it faster? I just didn't want any of the spam bot porn site things popping up here. Wesley get all kinds of flustered clicking on porn links or something. Now they're going to come in here because I mentioned it. You know they're listening. Maybe I'll turn it down to 10 seconds or something for you, Lucas. I know you're chatty Cathy. What else do I have around here I can show you guys? Yeah, I said the words exactly. That's what it would be. Oh, grab my I was building a transmission for my C3, and then I decided to go a different route. This ought to ruffle Josh's feathers. So I took, this is a standard VFD, and obviously I have the shroud off there or whatever, but I made a trade for a Phoenix portal, and I took the VFD twin and I chopped it off to use a forward motor mount setup with the Team Garage Hack forward motor mount. So the motor sat right behind the front axle. I've got a Holmes revolver that sat right behind the front axle, and then had a prop shaft to this VFD twin. And I was going to try to run that in C3, but I decided that it was taller than I wanted it to be. So, like, I guess you kind of guesstimate the height here, but based off of the top of the chassis rails, it would put the top shaft up at the top of the shock mount. So that's where, something like this, where the chassis is short, it makes less sense. If I were using it in a high-low, that motor mount shaft is below there, but getting a forward motor mount in here with this is very difficult. But if you had it in a Phoenix chassis, the height isn't nearly doesn't affect it nearly as much. I may still end up using this on something else, or may try to figure out how to get this shorter. Maybe if I make a new shaft for this line of gears, I don't know what the, maybe if I make a new shaft for this line of gears, I don't know what the reduction is between here and here, but if I made a new shaft for here that stuck out, that I could hook the forward motor mount down to there. TGH 210 can be shoehorned in a high-low. Yeah, I know, but I don't have a 210. I had a VFD twin. Mount the motor on the front axle. I mean, it essentially it is. When you mount the TGH forward motor mount, the axle or the motor literally sits right behind the front axle. Like, it almost touches. Like, I had to build custom bent front links to go around it. Like, it was up in there. So I don't know. It was an idea that cost me the top shaft of a VFD twin. It is what it is. And like I said, I still may use it in something else, but it was a thought. I can always take this top shaft out and use it. I think they're the same top shaft between. Looks the same. Probably is the same. Don't know why they would make it different if it didn't have to be. But I also thought about using this forward motor mount, building some brackets off the side of this forward motor mount and mounting it in the chassis also, but using a forward setup, build a new shaft for the spur. They are compatible. Good. So I don't know. Just projects, hacking shit away, you know. Sometimes you got to do some hobbying to learn a lesson. And if it cost me a VFD twin top shaft, that's what it cost me. So, but I learned something. Whether it was a good lesson or not is remained to be seen, but it's what it is. It's my motto. It's what it is. I think. What do you think? Fairly similar, right? I wonder if I could get a high-low. I wonder if I could get an SCX10 Pro crammed in a high-low chassis. So my thoughts with a SCX10 Pro chassis is we'll probably ditch these standoffs between the transmission and the motor mount and be able to mount the motor mount in the chassis wherever we want it. Maybe even make it adjustable a little bit up and down. I don't see why that wouldn't work holding it in my hands here. That's how I mounted it in the C1 Pro to begin with, but it was just the height difference was too long. So, hey Rob, you did make it just in time. Most all of us millennials. Yeah. Different length standoffs. No, Wesley, it would need to be, they would either need to be curved or just gotten rid of altogether because the transmission is kind of integrated into the skid and it is at an angle. So this top shaft on the, fucking impossible to show you that. It's angled down from the motor mount to the transmission. So if we leveled the transmission out, it would level this shaft out, but the standoffs go into the transmission case and into the motor mount. So we would either have to modify the holes in either transmission or the motor mount, or just get rid of those standoffs altogether because there are two mounting holes on both sides of the forward motor mount. so I don't think they're necessary. Hey Tim, it's going good, man. We're having fun. Fit a 210, my kind of high low. Kind of high low. Yeah. Yeah. Finally done with work. 3 hours getting paid to sit here now. I wish I guess I don't wish I had a normal job, but there's some times where I wish I got paid to sit. It'd be nice. I guess technically if I had all 3 machines running and I sat down, I guess I'm technically getting paid to sit though, huh? So I'm with you, Rob. I was really hoping this idea would work, and it may still work. I just didn't give it a chance to work. It's a whole lot of stuff also, I would probably not use the dig function, I would probably not use the overdrive function. I would probably only use the dig, whichever is which. Missed you out at KOH. Went there, then Arizona for a week. Yeah, I took crawlers with me again to King of the Hammers, and again, I did not touch them a single time. They stayed in the tote in the trailer the whole time. Hammers is such a busy week that you're pretty much on go from sun up till well after dark with race car shit. The one day for tech and contingency, we literally sat in line in tech and contingency from like 10 a.m. to 4:30, and then we still had to prep the race car that night for 6 a.m. lineup in the morning for the race. So it was it's a whole lot of work to have a whole lot of fun out at Hammers, but I just didn't have time to go out and play. Love my Pro V2 with Deluxe Fab Portal Trans. Thank you. I haven't messed with the Portal Trans much. Typically only run until now with my Class 3. I typically only run portals in Class 1, so forward motor mount and transfer case and CMS setup's how I typically run it. So mine were out of the whole time. I didn't want to deal with the sand. The sand didn't bother me. So what was crazy is they were in a plastic, like a Rubbermaid big 60-gallon or 80-gallon Rubbermaid plastic tote with the lid on it all week inside the trailer, inside a tote with the lid on it all week, and they were so dusty. Like the dust was bad. It's always bad at KOH, but like I didn't figure they were going to get that dirty inside a bin inside the trailer. You have to constantly monitor the machines while they're running. No, not necessarily. If you're running a program for the first time or a program you just modified, you definitely want to be within reach of that red button right there, whatever it is, right there. Got to be within arm's reach of that red button in case you hear god awful sounds or whatever. But once you know a program works, as long as you're listening for, there's always a chance you break a tool or the carbide tips and the inserts get wore out and they start making noise. So you gotta kind of listen. This particular machine has tool breakage detection. It's got an automatic tool setter arm and stuff, so you can program in for it to check for broken tools and whatever before it continues on a cycle. I don't have that set up because I don't run parts when I'm not here typically. I don't need to right now, so probably designs help, yeah. We got there first Saturday during the damn sandstorm. Just a spectator. Yeah, so I flew in. Luckily, I didn't have to drive the toter and trailer out this year. So I flew into Palm Springs on Tuesday morning, and then I flew home on Saturday evening. So I was there 5 days, basically. And I was ready to be out of the dust when we left to go to Palm Springs. I was ready to be gone. So it was kind of nice going to Palm Springs instead of Vegas because Vegas is a 3-hour drive instead of a 1-hour drive. So we didn't have that far of a go. Almost missed our flight out there, though. We flew out of Chicago O'Hare, which is about a 2-hour drive from here. So we left about 2 hours early, and with time to get to the airport about an hour and 45 minutes before our flight boarded. But we got stuck in traffic on 294 forever. And anybody who's ever been to the O'Hare Airport will know that it is not a small airport, and it is not an airport that you need to be in a rush at because you're not getting anywhere in a hurry. We were 4 miles from our terminal when our plane started boarding, and we still had to go through TSA and get to the terminal and get to the gate. We were the absolute last 2 people on the plane. I wasn't sure they were even going to let us get on the plane. We were that late just because of traffic, which was pretty wild. I don't ever want to run through an airport with a backpack full of shit on my back ever again. That wasn't any fun. My buddy Sean had some 3/8 thick steel plates in his backpack for power steering pump spacer, and he had idle air control or a mass airflow sensor and some other shit in his backpack. So he's running through the airport in his cowboy boots, clip clopping through the airport, steel plates in his backpack just banging off each other. It was pretty humorous listening to it, but I don't ever want to have to do it again. Not a people-friendly airport. No, it's not. So we parked in an economy parking lot because we were leaving the truck there for 5 days. And so you get off, you park your truck or car or whatever, and you walk through the parking lot to the bus terminal. Then you ride the bus to a tram. Then you ride the tram to the terminal. Then you go through your gate. Then you go through your TSA stuff, and then you go to wherever the plane's at. And so, like, we were on the tram when boarding was already going. Like, we got off the bus onto the tram when boarding had already started. So we were like 35 minutes after boarding started is when we got through TSA and still had to run through probably another half a mile of airport or so. Pretty wild. I don't want to do it again. Told myself I was going to build stuff and watch the live, but turns out I type comments the whole time. That's fine. Got to have something to talk about, otherwise this gets real boring real fast. So probably got about another 10 minutes or so, 10 or 15 minutes before I'm ready to go home and go to bed. I'm old now. I don't like being up past like 10:30 or so. And my shop is not at my house, so I have to go home. It's not a real far drive, but I have to go home. I do like not being at home though, because the motivation of going to the shop makes me actually get stuff done when I'm there. Because when I was working out of my garage at home, like, you look outside and you're like, oh man, I need to mow the yard. And so you stop what you're doing and you go mow the yard, and then you spend an hour pissing with the weed whacker because it won't start or it's out of string or whatever. And then by the time you get that done, you're like, oh, damn, it's lunchtime. And then you go sit on the couch and turn the TV on while you eat your sandwich. And before you know it, it's dinner time. So I like not being at home. I'm still like a squirrel around here, though. I got half-finished projects everywhere. But at least I'm not mowing the yard or something dumb, wasting time. Anybody else got anything to talk about? Anybody else got anything they want to see? We got a bunch of new people in from the start. Yeah, Rob, I keep forgetting about it too. This is what it is. Whenever, it doesn't really matter. Rob, I am going to get with you though soon. I made a template or a buck for Lexan shock tower covers. So I'll probably have you jack with that and see if that's something you want to do. If it's something you want to do, then we'll work that out. When will we see anodized wheels, and what colors did you decide on? I wanted to have anodized wheels done already, but I got busy with other stuff. I've got material enough here to do probably 50 sets of wheels, 50 full sets of wheels. So I will probably have 10 or 15 or so sets done in a few colors. Definitely going to do purple. I might do green. Green doesn't usually sell very well, but people always ask about it. I don't know why people always ask about green, but then it doesn't sell very well. So I'm kind of hesitant to do a bunch of green, but I'll probably do some. And then I want to do blue and red. But almost enough wheels for you. Yeah. I wish people bought 50 cents of wheels at a time. Actually, you know what? I don't wish people bought 50 cents of wheels at a time because that's a lot of work for basically one person to get. Like, you know, Team Garage Hack, I was able to buy, 25, 30 sets of wheels at a time to have them anodized, and that was nice that I was able to do that. And the machinist, the amount of time his machinist had in making those wheels is like, it's pretty wild how long it takes to make a set of wheels, and then I'd put 25 sets of wheels on the website and I'd sell in minutes, and people would be all upset. But it's like, man, that was 300 man hours worth of labor to make those, plus anodizing, and it they don't just fall off of the stick of aluminum. Purple will sell quick. Yeah, purple usually does sell very quickly. And yeah, I'm sure Vanquish will say the same thing about green wheels. I think the purple Vanquish wheels, the price of them on eBay should have been enough to tell Vanquish that they needed to make 2 or 3 times more, however many they made. But it's nice having a exclusivity to them, or keeping a demand up keeps the value up. So I see it from both points. When I do 25 sets of wheels and I announce that I have 25 sets of wheels, and there's 10,000 people that want a set of wheels, it's they're gonna have a lot of people that can't get them, but the people that do get them value them more. So that's a lot of work. Yeah, it's just pushing buttons and loading material, but it took almost a year to get the programs dialed in and get everything. Like I said, I self-taught with all of these machines, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a machinist. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a designer. I'm just a guy that tries to make RC car parts that fit other RC car parts. That is basically what I do. So, but I have fun doing it most of the time. What do you guys want to see for stickers? I've got this machine sitting over here that needs to make stickers. Do you guys like these, or do you guys want to see these on the website at all? Like, got a bunch of these. So this is actually my truck. Wesley drew this. The picture of my truck at Crawlapalooza that Wesley drew. I've got a bunch of these printed and cut. I couldn't put them on the website. I've also got a couple of other drawings that Wesley did. We could just offer a limited run or sticker pack type stuff. It's up to you guys. I like the truck one a lot. Yeah, me too. I printed a bunch of them, like I said, and I jacked up a bunch of them as far as like the contour cut. So I didn't want to put them on the website to sell them. So I've just been sticking them to people's boxes when I ship them. More stickers on the included sheets, maybe. So I want to do individual sticker sheets that are purchasable. We do have the new header card that has the stickers on it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stickers included on the header card of every single part. So if you bought a chassis and a skid plate, you're going to have 14 stickers. But sticker sheets like this, I want to have 2 or 3 different variants of other sticker sheets that would be purchasable separately, or kind of a just throw them in random orders type of thing. It's just a thought. I wasn't sure the sticker machine was public knowledge yet, but I need to get with you about stickers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, Wesley and I try very hard to be able to make as much of the stuff in-house as possible. So, and like I said earlier, I just got tired of other people screwing up my stickers for me. If anybody's going to screw them up, it might as well be me. So I just bit the bullet and bought a machine. So as long as it can fit the doors in my shop power wagon. Okay. Just give me sizes and we'll make sure they fit. Flat black editions maybe. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. One large sticker sheet for purchase of different sizes. That's not a bad idea either. Do like a 8.5 by 11 normal piece of paper size sticker sheet with a bunch of different stickers too. I mean, the machine can do 30 inches wide by whatever length the roll of vinyl is, so it's kind of nice. It's expensive as hell, but it's kind of nice. Send me the stickers and messed up. Just throwing it out there. Yeah. There's probably, I don't even want to say how many I fucked up. There's plenty. I was doing these the other day, and I wasn't happy with like going around the outside of the truck. I didn't have enough of a stroke around the outside of the truck, so where it was contour cutting was getting some of the background pattern in it, and that annoyed me. So I was trying to fix it, and then I printed 25 more of these header cards that didn't cut the truck. I'm like, really? Well, that solved the problem with getting the background in around it, but it wasn't helpful because now they're not cut out at all. So those are going on my personal trucks. I've got a buttload of stickers for my own trucks. So then I had to fix that and then reprint those. So it's always something. Quality is great too. Mine are holding up great. Yeah, so I mean, the vinyl itself is a 3 to 5 year outdoor vinyl. It's a high quality vinyl. The inks are, reasonably sturdy. They don't hold up well to like high wear situations. So like if you put a sticker on the back of your phone or something, you're going to wear the inks off of it. They're not laminated. I do eventually want to buy a laminator, but you're talking another $5,000 to $10,000 on top of what I've already spent to make the stickers, just to be able to make them to where your finger doesn't rub the ink off when you stick them on your phone. So I don't know. It's one of those things. It's going to decal up my freshly built rig. I've seen this live feed. Yeah. We got tons of stickers, man. Got tons of them. I'm always looking for another little thing to do, like keep my mind moving. I don't know. It's always I gotta stay moving around here, otherwise nothing gets done. If I sit in front of the computer and jump down the YouTube rabbit hole, I end up watching Harley Designs or Scale Builders Guild all day and don't get anything done, or Cletus McFarland or whatever. Never get anything done. Should make me some super wheels when you get bored. Awesome. Aluminum ones? I don't, as far as like carbon super wheels, there's enough manufacturers of those that I don't feel that I could improve on them that much. So the reason I bought this big chungus of aluminum here, I was going to build a swamp buggy, and like you used to see on TV that had the gigantic, super tall wheels with real narrow tires. I was going to build one of those. So I bought a big old chunk of aluminum to make those. That's what's left of my failed attempts at making gigantic mud truck wheels. I don't know. Mud buggy wheels. But, yeah, as far as carbon super wheels or even carbon wheels in general, there's enough vendors for that stuff that I don't feel I need to step into that market. I'm already doing enough as it is. Maybe Wesley will do it. So, well, if you guys don't have anything else you want to see in the next couple minutes, laughed at them now. I'm sure a few days. Yeah. You guys speak up if you want to see anything over the next couple minutes. If not, probably go another 5 or 10 minutes here, and then I'm going to get out of here. But let me know what you guys want to see. Talk about machines. We can talk about chassis. We can talk about whatever. Going once. Just because I have to do it. Just because I have to. Hi, Gabe. Love you, buddy. Hopefully, 2 carbon fiber chassis cut from last year. ETL Pro V2 and ETL V2. Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for your support. I'll always do that. Maybe you bought one. Of course, I bought one. I mean, here's the TGH. I mean, I buy all of them, man. I gotta have them. Got to be able to show them to people, and I got to be able to see the differences in hand. You know, if you don't do your research or your due diligence, you'll never really know, will you? Think about how many rigs you've built, Lucas. How many different chassis you built, or Tim, TRD Adventures. Do you have an EXO? No, I don't have an EXO. But looking at the pictures of the EXO, the chassis you got from us in Oklahoma is probably pretty similar, unfortunately. It looks like the chassis you got from us in Oklahoma with this front end right here. So I want to see Lucas talking against 100 more. So yeah. I think the EXO is a Toizuki with a skid move forward. No, I don't see that. I think the front end of the chassis it came out before the G Speed V4, but the similarities in the motor mount slots, the big long slots for the motor mount is where the similarities are there, I guess. But that's just how I saw it. Of that Callapalooza chassis, yeah. I've got one over there somewhere that I was working on the other day. So close to it. Yeah, Lucas, that's what I'm saying. That modified high-low that you and Tim both have. It's the EXO looks similar to that, which it is what it is. Yeah, I buy all the stuff. You say it on the Scale News, and then I end up buying the damn things. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you got to film Scale News tonight, don't you? That's my pooping videos in the morning. It's perfectly timed at 8 a.m. Eastern for when I'm in the bathroom. Normally get to the shop about 7:15, and I'm a couple of cups of coffee deep by 8. So it's perfect timing. Finishing notes at the moment. Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to new stuff announced in the last couple days, so I will be watching and waiting. That's my Red Bull and cigarette. Yeah, pretty much. So, all right, guys, it's 10 after 10, and I got to go home. So, apparently, not liking my EXO. Need to tune it better. It may just be a difference in shock lengths, man, or it's the long rear links. The high low took me a while to get used to, also. So the the amount of wheel travel that a long rear link gives you is difficult to tune sometimes. A lot of we've got a couple of guys testing a weird setup on the front suspension that may work out. So it needs to be a 4-link with panhard. 4-link with a panhard, no. 80 millimeter shocks. You may try going to something maybe even a little shorter in the rear, just because of travel. So it's worth a shot though. Try putting a shorter rod end on the bottom of the shock or something, shorten them up a little bit. I know I was running 80 millimeter shocks on the back of my high-low with like a 76 millimeter limit strap. Just because if you're running an 80 millimeter shock, you still had like 5.5 or 6 inches of overall travel, just because of where the shock was mounted and the angle of the shock and whatnot. So I may try shortening them up, or pin the front end down so it doesn't leave at all, and then rely only on the rear. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here for the night. Let me know if you guys want to do it again next Monday. We can always keep it rolling, or one and done type of thing. You guys tell me what you want to do, and we'll do that. Is that the highlight of one of our guys back? I don't know. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Thanks.